Do you want to learn how to produce the song As It Was by Harry Styles? In this video, I'll show you the techniques I used to recreate the song using mostly stock effects from my DAW so anyone can learn it no matter what plugins you have. Every sound step by step. I went ahead and recorded the vocals too, so here's a preview. Hey, I'm Thales, pop music producer, and when I first heard this song, I was so impressed by the amazing synth pop vibe. It really resonated with me. Tell me in the comments below what you like the most about this song. I know I immediately loved it. The lyrics are so vulnerable and I feel like dancing every time it plays. So let's go ahead and take a look at my project so you too can write songs in this style or even make your own cover version. Make sure to watch the whole video and I guarantee you're going to acquire some valuable skills today. The secret for this kind of production is an instrumental that's full of layers of vintage sounds and spaces, even though the harmony is super simple, alongside the huge vocals and reverbs that fill every gap. This song is in a key of A major. The chord progression is 4-2-5-1. So D, B minor, E, A. Let's begin a tutorial with the most important element, the lead synthesizer that plays the motive. To achieve that vintage lead sound, I used Wavetable, a great synthesizer that comes with Ableton Live. Oscillator 1 has a saw wave that's modified by this modern distortion effect with 12% warp and 38% fold. Oscillator 2 has a square wave, but its volume is lower than Oscillator 1. I messed with the amp envelope to get this plucky sound by reducing the attack and sustain to 0. And I left just some decay and almost no release. I filtered the high frequencies at almost 2 kHz with a nice resonance, and I modulated the filter cutoff with the envelope too to make sure the initial attack, the transient, keeps those high frequencies before the filter closes down. Then I used LFO1 to modulate the pitch, so there's a constant vibrato going on, which is the secret to that lo-fi sound. Just a little bit, or else it gets freaky. Unison mode is classic at 15% with 5 voices. There's this crazy equalizer I used to adjust lots of frequencies to sound similar to the original song. Also, there's this audio effect rack with a delay that has lots of feedback. In Ableton's hybrid reverb, excellent reverb effect. I picked the preset called Keys Bastille and tweaked the stereo width to match the song. Then there's this utility effect to reduce the stereo even further and another to make some volume automation. This equalizer comes on during singing parts to reduce the mids and make sure the synthesizer doesn't clash with the vocals. Now let's take a look at the drums and we'll come back for the other synthesizers. The whole song is built on top of these two patterns. The low energy sections with just kick, snare, and closed hi-hats. And the high energy sections with these additional open hi-hats. It's interesting to mention, I think the original song has the closed hi-hat loop playing at the same time as the open hi-hat loop. That's why I kept them. Let's check the drum samples individually. This is the kick. I browsed through the sample library for a few minutes looking for something that sounded like the original song. Then once I found something that I liked, I used the frequency shifter to tune it to the key of the song. By the way, I showed this technique in the last video in case you want to check. It's in the cards. This is not something I usually do, but I added a reverb in parallel to create some sense of space. It's the hybrid reverb again with a preset called Car Garage, which I had to tweak a bit, and made sure to filter out the low frequencies to avoid muddying the song. The snare, my favorite sound. I layered the drum machine snare with a real recorded snare and consolidated them into this sound. Pretty short and narrow, so I added this effect rack with 2 reverbs, and I'm also sending it to another reverb on the return channel. The first hybrid reverb is here just to widen the sound and make the sample sound a bit thicker. The second hybrid reverb makes the snare last a lot longer. And the third reverb is the Valhalla Vintage Verb that I use just for effect to make it sound huge like in this intro. There's a cool snare roll towards the end of the song. I just chopped the cymbals and made changes to their volumes and pitches. Alright, closed hi-hats. Not much going on here, just a simple 8-note pattern, skipping the first and third beats of each bar, panned a little bit to the left. Open hats. Samples overlapping one another, compressed. This is the layer that keeps the energy levels high during the intense sections. There's an automation to reduce the highs everywhere except for the intro. I noticed that in the original song and replicated it. There's also this transition open hat that happens every 8 bars to anticipate the next section. Holding me back. And the toms, they're only used once in the song, on the drum fill before the last chorus. I love the sound of tom drums, and I noticed that in the original song they have a delay. It goes from the right side of the stereo to the left side very fast. So I made this audio effect rack that basically creates a copy on the left side and delays it by 37 milliseconds. There's also some reverb. I love this. Moving on to the bass, ridiculously simple yet syncopated pattern that goes like this. This bass sample I picked is a stock sound in Ableton Live, a preset called Electric Bass Palm. It's compressed, distorted, and filtered to emphasize the subs and remove the high mids. Then it's slightly sidechained to the kick, and during the verse I removed the sub frequencies and the transients entirely, matching the original production. Harry, you're no good alone. Why are you? Alright, synthesizers, guitars, and other harmonies. Throughout almost the whole song, there's this mid-range synth playing 2 octaves. It's another wavetable with saw waves in both oscillators. The lows and high frequencies were filtered, and it's also distorted with the saturator, narrowed with the utility effect, and sidechained to the kick to pump a little for movement. There's some core sounds with lots of space in the background. These are also stock sounds in Ableton Live. There's a lot of volume automation going on, and it's auto pan to keep this thing moving around in the stereo field. 2 layers, left and right. Here's the delay, reverb, equalizer, and compressor. Most of the atmosphere in this song is created by something that sounds to me like plucky guitars. I'm using 6 different guitar sounds to try to match the original version. They're all Ableton's guitar patches. Guitar open and guitar mute. The secret's how to process them. There's this high distorted guitar in the chorus with extreme delays and reverb. Here's the full rack. You can pause and take a look if you're interested in seeing each one of these effects. One of my favorite sounds to recreate was this modulated guitar that joins in the second verse. The secret here was combining a chorus effect with a tremolo made with the autopan effect and this frequency shifter automation. Kinda like a Leslie amplifier effect. Nice vintage sound. The next guitar is just playing a simple rhythm. And it has a flanger effect as a double to widen it. There's a guitar layer that's just the reverberation of the strumming noise for a special effect that happens only in the second verse, way in the background.
Answer the phone. Harry, you're no good alone.
Another guitar plays 2 notes at the beginning of each bar and they reverberate for a long time. It's a combination of reverbs and delays that later get compressed with an extra long release, about 2.5 seconds, to keep the reflections from fading out quickly.
Ringing the bell, and nobody's coming to help. Your daddy lives by himself.
And the last guitar is just an overdriven, straightforward pattern. There's this cute background synth that comes on in the end of each chorus section to harmonize the vocals, and it goes like this.
It's just us. You know it's not the same as you.
It's another wavetable synth, 2 square waves against each other, but the first oscillator has the modern wavefold distortion, and the second oscillator has frequency modulation. Like the lead synthesizer, the envelope is what makes it so plucky. It has no sustain and a bit of attack to remove the initial transient, which helps placing it in the back of the mix. I'm not using the LFOs, just the filter to bend past the mid-range. And it's followed by an overdrive, another equalizer to focus its sound around the 2 kHz range, and the usual delay reverb combo. In the second chorus, there's also an organ sound. This is another synthesizer by Ableton Live, the Operator, and this preset is called Organ Formant. There's this auto pan with 0-degree phase, so it becomes a tremolo effect. And in this rack, I'm also using a flanger effect to create a double and spread the sound wider. Then a reverb. The cherry on the cake are the bells that join in the last chorus. So beautiful. It's an Ableton Live simpler preset called Tubular Bells. For the vocals, I'm using many tracks. Every vocal track has a de-esser. The main vocal tracks go in the center of the stereo. I've equalized verse and chorus differently for a little bit of contrast. And I'm using this free plugin, Fresh Air, which is like a harmonic exciter to boost the high frequencies and make it more airy. I have a video on this guy if you want to check it out. It's in the cards. There's 2 doubles that sing in the same pitch during the chorus section. One on the left side and one on the right side.
You know it's not the same as it was.
I also recorded 4 back vocal tracks, 2 lower octave harmonies, left and right, and 2 higher harmonies, left and right also.
In this world, it's just us.
There's not much going on here, just an equalizer to remove the muddiness from the low mids, and a glue compressor to keep the dynamics under control. Oh, and these cool distorted vocals in the bridge section.
Go home, get a headlight, speed internet. I don't want to talk about the way that he was.
Sounds like a police radio or something. The secret here is overcompression, distortion, and bend past the mid-range with an equalizer. I've also recorded a video on these vocal effects. Once again, check the cards if you're interested in that specific tutorial. And all the main vocal tracks go through this Valhalla vintage verb and delay to create this huge space.
And I'm the one who will stay. Oh.
On the master track, there's this ozone maximizer to push the loudness a little bit, but if you don't have this plugin, the stock limiter from your DAW would work just fine. There's also this exciter module with some tape saturation to make it sound more vintage and match the vibe of the instrumental. And the utility effect with some volume automation for impact, making sure the chorus section hits harder than the verses. Before you listen to the whole song, subscribe to the channel and turn the notifications on so we can hang out more often. Sound good? Remember to like this video if you learned something useful in this tutorial, and here we go.